So we stand in front of Dollar Tree and basically
such as this thing here.
All right, I'm excited to have a guest.
Look, this is metal right here, portions. Everyone is.
Cuba is like they're under a dictator.
RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Monday edition of the People's Talk Show. It is the last day of the month of October, and we're entering into a very interesting November, to say the least. And so we have FOMC this week, midterms next week, and everything after that. But before we dive into that, curious to find out what's on your radar. Lots of subjects, as always, to cover. I have a couple articles on my side here, nothing major. Tried to unplug from all the mainstream mayhem, but definitely want to find out what's on your radar, and hopefully you guys can bring some topics to the table. We can have a little back and forth and see where this live stream takes us this evening. But before I do that, let me first acknowledge a couple people. Thank you for blessing me with your presence. If you have not already, definitely hit that thumbs up button, and also let me know where you're watching from. We'll love to acknowledge your presence. And when the phone lines open up, definitely give me a call, share thoughts, ideas, suggestions, strategies, or whatever. I think at this point of the game, everybody in this community here know what time it is. So it's nothing really new under the sun, to say the least. But it's always good to be able to connect with new people and find out how guys and gals are preparing and what moves you guys are making. So feel free to let me know, and we'll jump in and keep it going. May not go long today. We'll see how the phone participation goes. And as I mentioned before, trying to keep things relatively short and concise, and just just talk to the people directly. That's the goal here. So. All right, let me stop ranting and do some talking here. We got Ronald checking in. Appreciate you, my friend. We got Priceless checking in. What else we got here? We got Barlight Broker checking in as well. Let me see. We got Dwayne Clark checking in as well. Pure Blood. Yeah, so that label for those who have not participated might stick for sure. We got LBP checking in as well. Appreciate you. As well as any first-time viewers, definitely let us know where you're watching from. Definitely, I typically see the people who are the most vocal in the community, the most in the chat. Definitely would love to hear from some new people as well. LBP says, anyone listen to Manico today? I did not. Let me know what he was talking about. We got Joe M checking in as well. Appreciate you. What else we got here? We got Luke checking in from Ohio. Good to see you, my friend. We got Regina. Happy Halloween. Yeah, for those who celebrate. I guess it's a celebration. Not quite sure, but I don't deal with ghosts and ghouls and goblins and skulls, and it's not my forte. But to each his own. We got Lloyd checking in. Appreciate you. Just giving a quick shout out. Want to acknowledge everybody. We had 12 check in as well from New Jersey. Appreciate you. Joey Sox. All right, fair lot of people here. We got Yareli, if I'm not saying it incorrectly, forgive me, Rubio. All right, we got Mal. Appreciate you. FP Miles. Okay, fair amount of people here, man. Appreciate you for blessing with your presence. So as always, I'm actually trying to work on a spinning wheel where I'm going to place different categories of subjects to touch on, and then I'm going to do like a little spin the wheel, and we'll just see where the wheel falls and just try to use those as leading topics and things of that nature. I'll probably grab some articles or whatnot in relation to all those categories, just to kind of give things a little bit more order and go from there. But feel free to throw thoughts, ideas, suggestions. I have about 4 or 5 articles here. Nothing really new, man. It's just same old, same old. I guess everybody, for the most part, is sharing their 2 cents on what the FOMC results will look like, and if December is going to be lower and all that stuff, man. At this current moment, I must admit, I'm assuming you guys might let me know if you feel me on this, but I've been on this channel here narrating from the press box what the players of this orchestrated experience is doing down on the field for quite so long now. It's just like, until something really hits hard, that'll give us a whole fresh new subject matter to talk about. Because as of right now, of course, I follow a lot of people in the space, and so all the headlines are, extremely doom and gloomish, but yet the sun still comes up tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I want to try to veer away from that and just be more positive and open, and more so try to get to, connect with people directly. And that's why I'm really looking forward to opening the phone lines and going from there. But, yeah, just trying to do something a little different on my side here. All right, I see some thoughts out there. Feel free to throw some questions or thoughts of that nature. Prices, yeah, I did see a headline talking about the pandemic amnesty. I didn't get a chance to read through it, but just the label itself, never mind all the damage that was done, all the lives lost due to the medical malpractice and all the other stuff. Let's just get rid of all that stuff and have a fresh, clean start and pick up where we're at now. Come on now, like, yeah, it's amazing how much truth is surfacing. At the same time, more people are waking up, but yet for some, it's relatively late in the game to make changes if you've already done certain things. But God is good, man. He'll definitely take care of his own. Pelosi. So yeah, that story there. I did happen to catch a couple different angles and viewpoints, but apparently, the glass was smashed. The crime scene showed the glass smashed outward, reflecting that there was a skirmish inside the residence. And of course, Mr. Pelosi, whoever those people are, there's always more to the story than we'll ever hear. But I have my suspicions that that wasn't foul play. That was actually probably a dispute over some cash transactions or something else of that nature. But anyway, okay, we got Will Smith checking in. All right, so another thing, let me see. This is just top of my head, but let me see if I can find it real quick, just because I think this will play into because right now, I guess one of the biggest things on the social media sphere happens to be with Elon Musk and his taking over of Twitter and everything in between. But I have my suspicions that that's a setup, it's a trap, and I can elaborate more on that if you guys are interested, or feel free to share your thoughts on that as well. But one thing I wanted to mention, if I can, and there may not be a story yet, but it'll be out pretty soon. But it looks like Google or Alphabet and the World Health Organization is partnering to curve misinformation, medically speaking, all that other stuff in between. So on YouTube, like I said before, they're about to begin cracking down like never before. So here's my projections for what will probably transpire after next week. And so I really pay very little attention to what the central banks are doing, because we know that they're orchestrating some type of global takeover by bringing things down and building it back better. That's what they want to do anyway. But on the political scene here, one of the things I'm projecting is that I'm looking at some polls now, and everybody would have you believe it's going to be a clean sweep across the board. It's going to be a red wave all the way through. And I'm thinking, like, at what point will the people who are currently trying to narrate this pathway just give up? And so it's my suspicion that it's going to be the complete opposite next week. And then that could be an ideal time for all hell to break loose, markets completely tank, and all the events that we've been talking about for quite some time unfolds, leading to what we've always suspected for December. And I saw another little tweet. I didn't get a chance to grab it, but it was a highlight, I think, from Silver Squeeze or whatever Silver channel it is. They're talking about how in December there's banks in Germany already talking about the removal of cash and coins from circulation. And so I think, who was it? I think Bo Pony, a lot of other people talking about, 4 or 5 weeks is going to be some banking event. Don't forget, Jim Rickards talked about December being some banking event. So if this election goes the way that they plan, that means more chaos, and then the markets will definitely respond unfavorably. Then the Federal Reserve will be forced to respond come December, and then we can have this cascade of dominoes from that point on. So it's quite easy to narrate this current reset of the monetary system, but no one should be surprised at this point. So hopefully, as I've always said before, you've taken as much of your what you expect to get out of the system out into your own possession as best you can, and begin looking for more opportunities for yourself, as well as to be a blessing for others. But anyway, so let me just real quick, I have a couple things here, some headlines, nothing really new on my end here. I'll just thumb through them briefly, just some things that caught my attention. I did read through them. Dirty Scant says, Bix Weir, let me know what you're referring to about in regards to Bix Weir. He's another individual that tends to give dates and times. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I watched him. But as I said before, don't wait for a single event. The events have already been unfolding. Like, the reset is already underway right now. And that's the part where I think it's going to catch a lot of people by surprise, because everybody waiting on that moment, that one event is going to take us all by surprise. And just look around right now. How many more events do you need to realize that they are actually trying to bring this thing down? They're literally trying to demolition the entire political, social, as well as the monetary system together. And what better way to do all that than November with all these events happening here? And we got rumors of war picking up everywhere, you name it. Barlight Broker. This is another good point here. It says the voting system is called Dominion. Look up the definition. And that's another thing. As long as those voting booths and software and all that stuff is still controlled by the same people that's funding this, what would make people think that the outcome will be in the favor of people wanting justice and freedom and liberty? Come on now. They can easily, vote. Let's just look at the past election. Voting ends at 10 o'clock or whatever time it ends at. 1, 2 in the morning, they change the votes. They're going to find the right amount of ballots out in the street somewhere. Come on now. We know how this is going to end. Let me see here. Price says, might look up Kyrie at tonight's game, front row. Are people with fight and anti-Semitic gear on? I don't doubt it. We're going to hear that. That's right in line with Kanye West and everything in between. More entertaining distractions is ultimately what I call it. Over here, it says, Mike, are you making any fear of missing out purchases of precious metals? I am not, man. I'm doing what I normally do, buy incrementally whenever I get some spare change, just because, as I mentioned before, get it while you can. But then again, it's common nature to want to get as much as you can while you can. But then again, you got to also have a strategy as well. You don't want to have too much in your physical possession, just because, as I've said before, and for those who might be new, more than likely where you start, if things get as bad as some people say it may become, you may not end up in the same place. So you're going to have to geographically probably do some relocating along the way if stuff hit the fan the way, people talk about it has to or will. And so therefore you won't be moving with much weight physically, just because the chance you get from here to the other side of whatever city or the other state or wherever you might try to relocate, chances of you getting there with some weight may not be too great. So you might want to have some strategically placed in different geographical locations. So that requires a plan. So I'm not, fearing or missing out. I'm not rushing to get more, but I am strategically trying to allocate accordingly, just in case a brother got to pick up and relocate. So I won't be completely left-handed without my weight. Gold chain. So Barlight Broker, a gold chain around your neck will be the first thing someone sees as a sign of wealth, and they're going to just go ahead and snatch it right off your neck. So you might not want to have it around your neck. You might want to get some ankle bracelets or something like that. Yeah, pure speculation only. All right, so I'm ranting a little bit. Let me just get to a couple headlines. I'm not even going to go through them. Just some things that caught my attention, and then I'll open the phone lines, and I want to hear from you guys directly. So just might as well not start off with this FOMC meeting this week about future rate guidance. So I just thought this was interesting because the FOMC, with their forward speak, they always do a good job of just giving you their future forecast ahead of time so that the markets can prepare and brace for it. And so everybody has already told us that, that 75 this month and a possibility of them doing something smaller next month is pretty much baked in. But then again, it's the unforeseen events that will take place between after midterms and the beginning of December. So that 2-3 week time frame there, I believe we're going to see a lot of extreme turbulence, in the markets or some type of event abroad, just because what better way to distract people if the markets are not doing too well on this side? You automatically cause chaos over in Europe or something like that. It'll get people attention looking that way. And when your average Joe won't be paying attention this way. But anyway, real quick, it says Federal Reserve will raise rates at its target range of the federal funds rates by 75 basis points to 3.75 or 4 at the FOMC meeting this week, and, quote, open the door to a downshift. So, hey, they're telling us, they're going to just take a little bit of a possible pause. And I don't consider that a pivot at all. I just think they're in no rush because every other central bank around the world is already doing bad. Anyway, keep it moving. Here's another little something that caught my attention. It says poll, almost 8 out of 10 Americans say things are, quote, out of control. And this has to do with the political scene and the people giving their viewpoints on the current economic conditions. And of course, people are more open and willing to blame it on the Democrats and Biden now, but as if that ever really made a difference, just because they don't control the back end of the Dominion software. So you can cry all you want, but they still got the computer codes. But it just gives some interesting stats here. I'm not quite sure how many people took the poll, but this is from yesterday. And it says, heading into the final week before Election Day, 8 out of 10 voters describe things in the country today as, quote, out of control, as opposed to under control. So more people who are saying things are, quote unquote, out of control. It has to do with the cost of living increase, inflation, gas prices, all those things. People are literally sharing their pain via yay or nay or yes or no with these polls. And of course, they're putting the blame on predominantly, the Democratic Party, which is, I guess, they're all in the same boat. And there's giving more stats here. But once again, all this is null and void, give or take, after next week, just because, they will more than likely try to get their way out of this. All right, here's another little headline that caught my attention. It says more than a third of U.S. small businesses couldn't pay all their rent in October. So it says about 37 of small businesses, which between them employ almost half of all Americans working in the private sector, were unable to pay their rent in full last month. And so wherever the small mom and pop businesses go, so will the rest of the economy. So I'm not quite sure how Biden can say the economy is doing great and everything is, we know they're lying, but just more pain on Main Street. And then here is another, that's a waste of my time. And of course, Biden today talking about war profiteering, threatens a windfall tax, which is often going to come back and bite them in the butt. But then they're trying to do everything they can to talk big and bad as if like they're going to really get to the root of the problem. And it happens to be the financial money, the central bankers rather. And then what else here? I got more stuff. So there's just more on the windfall tax. But let's just open the phone lines. I want to talk to you guys directly. Let's see what we can have tonight. And go from there. Let's go. Let me just open the phone lines real quick and see what you guys want to touch on. Feel free to bring some topics to the table. If you have not already, hit that thumbs up button. Show your support for the channel. Hopefully more people are notified. Or if you don't want to call in, feel free to put a question or some thoughts out there in the chat, and we'll try to make the most of it and see what a conversation takes us this evening. As I mentioned before, trying to just condense things down. I want to hear from you guys directly. It's not a talk show unless you have someone to talk to. Murray says the Economist cover says it all. That's one of my favorite Economist covers there. I'm assuming that's the Rising Phoenix. And so everything appears to be right on schedule. And of course, in the Telegram channel, I share articles throughout the day as I come across stuff. And you'll be surprised at how many nations are ramping up their pilot programs for their central bank digital currencies. And so I just saw that India's launching theirs early by literally this month coming up November. So they're getting ready for something. They are, and of course they know what it is. All right, let me get some calls here. Let me get this. Forgive me 1 second. Let me get this out here. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Mike, it's a Barlight Broker from the internet.
Barlight Broker. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, one quick thought I had.
Yes, sir.
The problem that we're in right now, our economy, is nothing's made here in the U.S.
Right.
And the people that have let that happen are the same people we're voting for. And they've done absolutely nothing to protect, our people from defective junk products. I mean, most of the things that you buy at a Walmart or a Target or something like that, they're all made in China and they're all headed to a landfill.
Right.
There's no more consumer protection anymore. All these goods that we get are junk. None of them last.
Very true.
And we're borrowing money from China to buy shit goods to throw them in the garbage. And then they probably own the landfills too.
That's a possibility, man.
And everyone always says things like, oh, we demanded consumer goods. And I think to myself, oh, yeah, I remember back in the early 80s, my mom and dad hovered around a burning barrel saying, oh, I wish we could get our TV $10 cheaper from China.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to let Sears trick us again. Like, that's all BS. That's one of the things they say that's complete lies. You know what people buy? People buy what's on the shelf, and it's not their fault what's on the shelf.
Right. Hey.
No one ever had a hard time going to Sears or Walmart and buying USA-made goods, but they can't buy something that's not there. That's a fact.
Hey, good points, man, as always. Appreciate you, my friend.
Okay, Mike. Have a good night.
Be good.
Bye.
Hello, caller. Where are you calling from? Hello?
Tom calling from New Jersey.
Tom from New Jersey. What's going on, my friend? Give me a quick thought.
Hey man, I was just looking at the Comex exchanges, and it looks like nothing's being withdrawn, and it's just going from registered to eligible. And there was that article about a week ago about the eligible category being like 50% overinflated, and I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Oh, I have. Unfortunately, I have not been following, and so I knew I do. I try to stay in tune with that, but I don't pay attention to all the actual methods in which they manipulate with the contracts and all that stuff. I don't follow it myself, my friend, and so I don't have an opinion on that. Unfortunately, do you have something you want to share? Perhaps a thought or something?
Yeah. The last thing, you were talking earlier about how Google and the globalist cabal are manipulating speech online. I'm assuming you haven't seen the new DHS leaks that have just come out about the federal government colluding with Twitter and Facebook and Google directly through the Department of Homeland Security to immediately shut down speech. And Facebook and Twitter had online portals, and this was leaked by a DHS employee to The Intercept, or Glenn Greenwald's old magazine.
So I saw a tweet referring to that, but I didn't dive any further than that. So, but I don't doubt it whatsoever. Go ahead.
No, it's probably one of the biggest stories this country has ever seen. It's the federal government directly crushing the free speech and violating the First Amendment of Americans, and it's kind of crazy. And it even goes into the article goes into how they put their fingers on certain elections we're not allowed to talk about, and certain diseases we're not allowed to talk about, and certain wars that were ended badly, and certain wars that are going badly. I won't get you in trouble on YouTube, but you can read it. It's pretty scary.
No, but watch this. So I have no doubt that is true. And of course, there's been a lot of other new information that is being revealed. But then once again, what usually happens with that information? It usually falls on deaf ears. The mainstream media won't touch it. And of course, it's going to be looked at as like some fake misinformation. Fact checkers going to come out and say that that's not really true. And it'll just fly by because there'll be another event come Wednesday. The market's going to tank because the Fed, or see what I'm saying? So they can drop as much truth bombs as they want, leaked or intentional, but it's just not much really comes from it, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying?
No, I completely agree. And it's all this carousel game. It's like you get the heavy news a couple days after you get the tabloid news of Pelosi in his underwear with a hammer playing Halloween with the Candyman. Then you get actual news that's like, this is worse than Watergate, and it's all being covered up again by the tabloid stuff. So it is this carousel thing that just keeps happening.
Right. So I mean, I wish at this point of the game there was there was something that could be done that will actually be a real game changer for our country or for the world, for that sake. But then again, I never hold my breath just because these leaks. You got to ask yourself, like, why now? Like, who's spilling the beans, or why not, or why they're just letting it out now? So a lot of this stuff, man, is planned and it's intentional, just because they know it's gonna fall on deaf ears, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a CYA type of thing or a distraction. And then I'm gonna let you go. I know you got other callers, but I just got one last question/comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I see a lot of these financial YouTubers in the kind of space that you are, this like Austrian alternative economic silver stuff. And I like you, and I like Monaco 64 specifically because I'm not watching a video and then 75% of the way through I'm being told about this hot new mining company that we should all invest in that's not being disclosed as an advertiser.
Yeah.
So I just like to say I appreciate that because it's
no,
I'm not going to name names, but it's kind of slimy.
It's all good. No, just because I also have partnered with some people as well to try to bring, opportunities such as that to people. And so the people who I usually work with is stuff that I personally either am involved with directly or am looking to get involved with, just because the mining space does interest me. I just haven't dived that far down that particular hole there, just because that's a whole nother sector there. But I am invested in some of those people who I do have on my show. So, but I do make that, up front. So, but no, I hear you,
yeah,
man.
That's what I'm saying. I don't hate the game. Like, everybody's got to make the money. I
Right.
just hate when you think you're watching a legit video and then 75% of the way through you realize it's sponsored and they're not telling you. That's why I like you and Monaco. At least you guys tell it up front.
Well, I appreciate you, my man. And I have somebody in mind, but I'm not gonna go there because that's my guy. But I appreciate your call, my friend.
Yeah, you too, man. God bless. Have a
Yep.
good night.
Be good. Oh man, but no, yeah, it's just it's a business, and there is opportunity out there, and a lot of people believe that the mining space will do extremely well when stuff hits the fan. I'm a believer in the short term it will do well, but if it gets to the point where you know, was it property rights, and we see the nationalizing of mines, then at that point you'll be on a hook as a creditor, and you won't get compensated nowhere near as plentiful or as abundant as your wise investments would equate to. Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How you doing?
LBP. I'm doing good, my friend. How you doing?
Good. Look, I got a question. Maybe you could bring this up tomorrow because he knows a lot more.
For sure.
But I'm sure you know, but I don't know. I'm kind of sketchy. Okay, everybody's talking about the COMEX being drained, right?
Right.
Okay, when these companies or banks or even a person, they short sell a contract, that means that they promise to deliver
Right.
the how many ounces. So if I sell a contract and the person on the other end is going to take delivery, it's not that they're draining the COMEX. It's that I have to deliver to the COMEX, and then that other party takes it from the COMEX. Maybe I'm wrong in my analysis, but I don't even think the COMEX really, because people say they drain the COMEX. The COMEX, I don't think the COMEX sells the contract. It's another party. So I don't understand how they're draining the COMEX if it's another person that has to put in the silver.
I am not sure with that, and so I definitely will bring that to Mario's attention and find out. And also, I know there's what's his name? Might even have Andy Sheckman back on the show, or Arcadia Economics on the show, just to answer that. Just because, as I mentioned before, I don't go too deep down a rabbit hole. Just because I question whether or not all that back and forth movement. So allegedly, is there anything actually there? Because they control the actual ledgers that tells us what's in the damn vault. So what at this point in the game, why do they even have to tell us how much is actually there in ounces, period? So they can fudge all that stuff. So that's why I don't tend to pay attention to that stuff. But no, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I'll definitely bring it up and see what we can get answer-wise for you.
Yeah, because look, when Miles Franklin, they hedge, right, their position, they actually have physical silver. So if they call them on the hedge, do they do it to protect their money, or do they actually deliver the physical silver to the COMEX and then they get the cash money for what they promised? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I'm not, as I mentioned, I don't know, but I definitely will get you an answer, my friend. So we'll get to the bottom of that sooner or later. So, but no, just great point, man. For those who are, for those who are curious to know that answer. So for sure.
All right, Mike.
Appreciate you, man.
Taking my call.
Yep, no problem.
All right, have a great night.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and that comic stuff and deliverable, and I mean, it's just unless I look at it as this, unless you're actually trading it, trying to profit off of that, it's a very tricky and risky business. It says so. Here's just something I typed in comic silver. So here's something that was posted actually about an hour ago from Dr. Somebody. It says COMEX registered silver drops 34.7 million ounces, the lowest since June 20th, 2017. It says vault totals down 35,000 ounces, lowest since March 12th, 2019. Open interest now equal to 229% of all the vaulted, and 1,908 of registered silver. So I guess that from what I'm reading, what that is this open interest. So the people who are expecting to be able to receive, I guess, claims on that silver due to probably the widespread of those future contracts there, it's way more people expecting to get physical than there actually are the silver available. So that to me lets me know that this is definitely a rigged game that only the big boys have seemed to have won thus far. So, but we will see where that takes us, man. But LBP, good point there, man. I'll dive into that more. And that's just one of many other subjects I'm trying to get to the bottom to it myself, just to understand. All right, what else we got here? Let's talk. We'll go a couple more minutes. Any other thoughts out there? Any other subjects worthwhile? Let me see. I got a couple topics here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, here's something I thought was worth bringing to your attention. And so I've been talking about the whole retirement and pension schemes, whatever, but here is a recent article where it talks about target date funds. And so for the most part, everybody who has a 401k, you're automatically thrust into these target date funds. And there's some interesting stats here that I pulled out and shared on a tweet. But it says here the financial industry's answer was target date funds, which gear their investments towards a projected direct date. It says 2030 or 2024. It says here, since their rollout in 1994, the funds have proven spectacularly popular, gathering millions of investors and nearly 3.3 trillion in assets by end of 2021. And then listen to this, it says the 10 largest funds aimed at people who plan to retire in 2030 has lost over 20% at about the same time as the S&P stock index, according to Morningstar Chicago Investment Ticker. So basically, the target date package for 2030 is already down 20% as of right now. And it's good to say if they were to look at future dates as well, they're also down as well. So the risk falls on the holder of these target date funds. And once again, there is no guarantee on any of this stuff. So thought I would just bring that to people's attention for those who think that the 401ks will be around beyond this decade, which is my suspicion that they won't. That's the part of their plan. All right, what else we got here? Over here says, Mike, what is the cost of mine an ounce of gold, an ounce of silver today with gas and diesel prices where they are? Great question. So let me see. The last person I had on from the mining industry, I actually asked them that question. And to my knowledge, I forgot what numbers they gave me. I want to say for gold, it was like 1,300 or 1,200 or something like that. So right now with silver and gold prices, I think silver gold is at, what is that? Gold is at 1,600. So they're still in a profit. And I want to say the energy cost was not that much of a concern. And so it also depends on the size of the mining company as well. The bigger boys like First Majestic and things of that nature, they are able to absorb some of that cost. But the smaller boys are not doing too well. And then I want to say silver-wise, I want to say I remember something like $13 or $13 or $14 for silver. So it all depends on the size of the mining company is what I'm getting at. So to my knowledge, at this current moment, most of the big boys are doing okay, still in profit. But then the smaller boys are having some issues, of course. All right, what else we got here? I enjoy the moral factors. What it says, will you be doing a live on Wednesday? I'd like to do a video call in. Yeah, so as of now, the goal, so my schedule-wise on my side, like this past weekend, I was unplugged for 5 days. I had to take a little road trip and do something for the fam, so I was away from everything. So my goal is to try to get 9:30 every night if I can with Mario's on Fridays, but sometimes schedule-wise, I have to adjust some things. So that's the goal. Yeah, so this Wednesday, you can put that on a calendar. We make that happen. What else we got here? All right, so I don't see much anything in the form of questions. Phones aren't ringing. So with that being the case, we're going to dial back on this live stream here. But I appreciate everybody for taking time to join me. As always, the goal is to get you guys involved. So feel free to scan the news, scan the airways, bring these topics back to the talk, and let's try to talk our ways through this stuff. I figure it's more advice, more information given amongst larger numbers. So it's better than just me on the back end looking for articles and ranting and sharing my 2 cents. I want to definitely get everybody plugged in. And so always trying to add a little value to people. So anyway, we will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And I want everybody to be blessed, be safe. And if you have not, hit that thumbs up button on the way out. And if you haven't already, invite a friend to come join and hang out with us and hopefully get a little bit of a alternative perspective on things, because you can always do better not listen to your mainstream news just because we all know they're lying to us. So, but anyway, my friends, be blessed, be safe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Shalom. Here's a great opportunity for you to get your weight up. Let's face it, our purchasing power and our currency has been destroyed in real time. That's why I'm excited to tell you about my partnership with Bullion Max. Bullion Max will ship gold and silver directly to your door for you to hold at your home or in your own safe. To help you get started, I worked out a special offer with them. Get Bullion Max Silver Starter Kit at employee pricing. Just go to bullionmax.com/RTD. This kit includes 5 of the most desirable silver products to invest in, including the American Silver Eagle and the Silver Australian Kangaroo. This offer is limited to 1 per household while supplies last, so get yours today and take advantage of this opportunity to get your weight up. Now, you can't just stop at getting your weight up. You also got to get your calories up, because definitely a food shortage is underway. Between droughts, flooding, and all the climate issues being thrown our way, America's food supply is near its breaking point. That's why survival food is more important than ever. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriot survival food kits. It's not ordinary food. We're talking about 25-year super survival food, hand-packed right in the family-owned facility in the USA. The kits are compact, sturdy, water-resistant. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Go to 4patriots.com/RTD to get your 3-month survival kit. You'll get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus 10 free gifts and free shipping. To take advantage of this opportunity, go to 4patriots.com/RTD to build your own stockpile today, because beyond the weight, you're going to need your calories as well. Links in the description.